My vlogger extraordinary. Hey, till that space. And
Hello everyone, welcome back to my space where I share a little bit about myself. So today I want to share with you guys my experience on how the devil tried, but God said no. And also I want to use this opportunity to appreciate everyone that was there for me, especially my amazing husband. I also want to thank my family, my friends, and the nurses that took care of me. So on the 20th of November, which was actually a Monday, I woke up that morning and I was feeling really okay, like nothing was wrong with me. And then suddenly in the towards evening time, I started feeling this intense pain in my right side. Like I've never felt this type of pain before. And the pain was, so sudden and painful. It wasn't like a pain that developed gradually. It was an intense pain that was really painful. I just did not want to think too much about the pain and then I took Panadol. After some time, I noticed that the pain was not getting any better. In fact, by evening time, the pain had become really bad. So when my husband got back from work, he took me to the hospital and we saw a doctor. And I already had a scan done, an abdominal pelvic scan done, and the scan showed that I had a cyst on my right ovary. So because the pain was really bad, the doctor had to give me like a very strong injection to help with the pain, and then he also prescribed like antibiotics, and he was like, okay, you know what, let's just monitor it for 5 days and see what happened. We got back home that night and I remember waking up in the night and the pain was still there. And when I mean it was still there, it didn't even like reduce or anything. It was still fully there the same way it was when I went to the hospital. But I didn't want to disturb my husband because he had already had a very stressful day at work. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to manage it till like the next day. And throughout that night, I couldn't sleep. Like I was just rolling on the bed. And thing is, I couldn't even roll on the bed because of how intense the pain was. So I was just struggling. As early as 7 a.m., we went back to the hospital again. We saw a different doctor, and by this time on Tuesday, I couldn't even stand. Like, I was bending at this point, like, I could not stand. When we got to the hospital, they even had to use a wheelchair to push me, like, to take me around the hospital. So when we saw the doctor, he was like, let's repeat the abdominal scan. And we did the abdominal scan again, and it was still showing cyst on my right ovary. And doctor was like, well, it's still showing the cyst, so we're just going to refer you to a gynae so that they would know what they can do about the cyst and everything. But he was like, in the meantime, we're going to admit you because of the kind of pain you said you're feeling. So they admitted me, and the pain was not getting any better. It felt like every 1 hour this pain was getting worse. And the only thing I just, was doing throughout that Tuesday was to just shout. Like I would just be shouting. I'll be shouting and telling my husband, like, babe, this pain is too much, this pain is too much. And you know, I don't know how to explain how helpful my husband was because but every time I would shout like the pain is much, like he would go and get the nurses, they'll come and give me painkiller and still nothing will happen. So the whole of Tuesday I was in the hospital and they were supposedly going to get a gynae to come and attend to me. Unfortunately, no gynae came throughout Tuesday, and this was me in severe pain. As at Tuesday night, we had not seen any gynae, and at this point, it was not just pain again. I was extremely nauseous. Like, I can't lie down, I can't sit down. Every position was uncomfortable. I couldn't even eat anything. Eat what? Even water self enters my mouth. I'll be feeling like very sick. I was running serious temperature at that point. In fact, everything wrong with a sick person was happening to me. In fact, it felt like I was even entering like an unconscious mode because that's how sick I was feeling. And, you know, my husband was the only person that kind of understood the pain I was going through. At that point, I was extremely helpless, and it was only my husband that could do all the things he was doing for me because I couldn't even call nurse or even the bell that was close to me. I can't even press it because of how much pain I was in. So my husband was literally the one calling the nurses. He was literally putting everybody on their toes because even though the guy wasn't there to come and attend to me, like, and mind you, my husband had gone around because this hospital is a very big hospital that has like three big buildings. He had gone like from point A to point B to point C to look for gynae. Like he was looking for this gynae up and down, but they said the gynae had so many emergency that day, and she could not come to attend to me. But in the meantime, when the pain looked like it was getting worse, he would try to get a doctor. The doctor would just come and be like, nurse, increase the dose of the painkiller. The nurse was telling us, don't worry, by the time we give her this one, she will sleep for like 8 hours, like, everything will be fine. Trust me when I say, when they gave me that painkiller, I couldn't. It was just like the painkiller lasted for like 30 minutes, like nothing happened to my body. It was just like 30 minutes, and I was back to feeling every pain I was feeling before. So at that point, I knew deep down that something else was like something more than the ovarian cyst was wrong with me. That at this point, it wasn't even an ovarian cyst situation again. So Tuesday night, we're in the hospital like around 3 a.m. or so. Obviously, helpless in the hospital. We couldn't do anything. And I just told my husband that please let's pray together because at that point it was only God I had. I was holding my rosary and I told my husband, please let's pray together. And throughout that Tuesday night, we prayed together. And not just, saying all the prayer basically because it's not like I could even say anything. So he prayed for me throughout Tuesday night because whenever I like open my eye, I'll still see him by my side. He'll be praying and like touching my head. So at a point, I was able to sleep for a while, and then I woke up the next day, which was Wednesday morning, and the pain was still there. Obviously, I woke up back to my misery. And at this point, a new doctor was on duty and she was doing the normal ward round. So she entered my room and she was like, okay, let her examine me. So when she told me to lie down, she was just touching my stomach. And at every point where she touched my stomach, I would just scream. In fact, at this point, it felt like it was not just my right side anymore. It was like my entire tummy area was hurting badly. Like no matter, even if you just touch it like this, I would scream. So the doctor was like, has gone through my history and she doesn't think that it's actually the ovarian cyst causing it. That yes, there might be a cyst there, but it's definitely not the cyst because even the cyst in question is so small to actually cause the type of pain I'm feeling. So she asked us to go for a CT scan. So they wheeled me to the other building and we had the CT scan done. I actually had a ruptured appendix. It was actually a case of emergency at that point, and the whole hospital were trying to know how they could get a surgeon and try to do the operation that night. Long story short, as God would have it, they were able to get a surgeon that came in that night to the hospital, and I went in for the surgery and thankfully everything went well. And by the next time I was opening my eye, I just, I was coughing seriously. But at that point, I had not, fully opened my eyes. I just knew I was coughing seriously. And I remember saying, Doctor, why am I coughing? Why am I coughing? Oh my God. So the doctor was like, don't worry, it's good for you. Like, it's okay, don't worry. So, they put the oxygen on me and I think I went back to sleep. The next time I opened my eye, I now saw that was when I started seeing everything they attached, and then I saw the drain that, they put by my side to kind of suck out the fluid. So I asked my husband and then he was explaining to me that, unfortunately it already ruptured, so they had to put the drain to kind of take out the remaining fluid. I mean, which was okay at that point. I was just grateful that the surgery had gone well and everything, was going fine. But I suffered, few complications because of the ruptured appendix. I developed serious infection, and I was not able to eat for 3 days. Obviously, after the surgery, they'll tell you not to eat for a while, so they had to put me on drip and all. And then I also had issues with my veins because for some reason all my veins were nowhere to be found. Like when the nurses come in trying to put my drip, they'll pierce me on my hand about 5 or more times before they even find somewhere. And it's like once they find that place and they use it, before you know it, they'll say, "Oh, that place is blocked. They can't use it again. They'll have to find somewhere else." So they were always piercing different parts of my hand. At a point, my hands were like swollen and they couldn't touch it again because all my veins were sore at that point. So they had to move to my leg. After my leg too could not take it again, and at the point they were like they were going to put a central line because all my veins had collapsed and they could not find anywhere. I remember crying the day they told me about the central line because I've never had it before, or I've never even seen anyone like have it before apart from movies. So it just sounded serious, and I was crying, like telling the doctor that, please, doctor, anything that will make you find a vein, please just find it because I don't want the central line. He was just trying to assure me, don't worry, it's not painful, everything will be fine. I begged, I cried. So, he said, okay, they were going to call that the man in charge of, fixing the central line. They called him something I can't remember. That when the guy comes, he will try to get a vein. If he can't get a vein on my hand or my leg, then they'll have to do the central line. So when the guy came, God, I remember crying and begging him, and the guy was like, don't worry, let me search for a vein. And then he searched my hand. And let me tell you, at that point, my hands were black because they had all, I don't know how to explain it. I've been bruised from so many piercing, trying to look for vein and all that. So my hands were literally black, like dark. So at that point, you can't even see my veins were not showing because my hands were even swollen. But he just kind of, was feeling where the vein was. The man is actually very good because even without seeing the vein line, he just, felt it. And one time this man went in and he found a vein here by this side. I will never forget. Ah, I was so happy. I was thanking this man because God knows that I did not want to go through the central line, whatever they were talking about. Anyways, I had to stay in the hospital for about 6 days because they had to treat the sepsis I developed because of the ruptured appendix. So after that, they discharged us and we went back home. So at that point, my mom also had to come from Kaduna State to come and stay with me because my husband had been through a lot at this point. He had really suffered. And mind you, he had not been going to work because he has been with me at the hospital doing everything, like doing everything. I can't even explain how much this man was doing. Like he was constantly by my side. At a point, he broke down at the point because he was doing a lot just to be there for me. So when we got back home after they discharged us, I only spent one night at home, and then the next morning when I woke up, my mom, came to check the place of the surgery and she noticed it was bleeding. So we thought it was just a normal, small blood because we were supposed to go back for, cleaning, dressing, and all that before they remove the stitch. We thought it was just normal blood, and when we go for dressing the next day, they'll address the issue. But we didn't know that it was something more. Later that afternoon, it was not just a small patch again, it was like the entire bandage, like what they used to hold the cover the wound there was stained with blood. So we had to rush back to the hospital. So on getting to the hospital, we met a doctor and he examined me and he was like, he thinks that there is still some fluid in my tummy because my tummy actually looked, bigger than, like there was a portion of it that looked swollen. So when he pressed, like fluid was coming out, so they had to admit me again for the second time, and they asked me to do another scan. When I did the scan again, it showed that I still had like a good quantity of fluid left in my stomach. So I was readmitted again, and they sent for the surgeon. So I was admitted at night. So I guess obviously the surgeon couldn't come that night. So the surgeon came the next day in the afternoon, and they had to open a part of, where they already did the surgery. It was just like two cuts to open it and drain the remaining. So they numbed that side where they numbed like the place of the surgery, and they drained out the fluid, and it was so painful because although they said, oh, they numbed it, I was feeling every pain. It was so painful, like something in my, I don't know how to explain, but he sha did some things that he did sha. And the next day the junior surgeon came in the morning to actually check and take out what he actually put inside. So I had to stay in the hospital for like another extra week, because now they had to monitor me and make sure that every other complication I had along the way was addressed. So I was placed on very heavy antibiotics because at this point they were treating a very serious infection that developed from not just the ruptured appendix but also from the breakdown of the wound for of the surgery site and everything. So, but long and short of everything is, after my stay in the hospital for another extra week, I was discharged when the surgeon, kind of confirmed that the whole fluid had come out. But thankfully, everything went well. The MRI was done. The other issue I had, enlarged liver, all those things were no longer there. I was free, and the fluid was finally gone. The enemy was defeated. Hell! I say, God, is this how your handwork is? Because for the past few weeks, I've been asking God, what have I done? While I was on admission, in fact, the day of the surgery was the day my period started. Hey, God. And, after the surgery, I could not even stand up. I couldn't do anything on my own. And the nurses were so kind to me. They were so nice to me. They took care of me like they know me from somewhere. They were really, really helpful. In fact, it was as if we were paying them extra money to be nice to me. I don't know how to explain it. And these are ladies that I don't even know from anywhere, but they showed me so much care and love, and I just want to appreciate them. I actually had to go back, like I had to go back to the hospital to get things for them because it was just nice how they took care of someone they don't know. Sometimes people go extra miles to actually do their work, and I feel like when people do that, we should appreciate them. Someone goes out of their way to do their job well and please you, and you feel it in your heart to appreciate that person, please just do it, because it also let them know that what you did for me did not go unnoticed. Because honestly speaking, these nurses would have just left it to my husband and be like, oga, na your wife na, clean her up or take care of her. No, they were doing everything for me. I feel like I was actually a very needy patient, honestly, because I can press bill for Africa. Oh. So let's all take our health very seriously. If you feel a pain, especially the pain that is very unusual, like you've not felt this type of pain before, please go to the hospital immediately. Don't just stay at home and assume, because it can be something worse. I just want to thank God for everything. And I hope that, we've learned something here today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you for all your prayers and your love. We'll all make it to 2024, and you will be here to watch more of my videos.
Dear Nurse Iyanu, thank you for all you did for me. The world is a better place because people like you exist. With love, love it. Dear Nurse Samsiat, you give so many patients a reason to smile. Thank you for being by my side during my difficult time. With love, love it. Dear Nurse Adeniyi, being a nurse is a profession full of challenges, but I just want you to know how much I appreciate all you do. With love, love it. And dear Nurse, thank you for all you do. The passion you have for your job is amazing and we appreciate you. So why I don't have a name on this is because the last nurse I want to give, I'm not really sure what her name is, but when I get there today, if I'm able to describe to them and they give me her name, I'll just put the name there. But for now, I just left it as Dear Nurse.